Hello there, beautiful people. Now, if you are familiar with D&D or other TTRPGs, then you will be aware of magic items that are often used in games, such as the Bag of Holding, immovable rods, sending stones, and many, many more. These items have special powers that will be able to help the players. The Bag of Holding is like Mary Poppins' bag. You can put so much in it and it weighs next to nothing. The immovable rod is exactly that. Once it's activated, you can't move it. Sending stones, which give you the ability to use the spell Sending. You can send a message great distance to the other stone in the pair. It's like fantasy walkie-talkies. However, whilst most items will have a brief description of the item itself, the ability and their stats, their backstory is often missed out. In this video, we're going to be discussing the background and the creation of the magic item to give it more meaning. I'm going to break this video into 3 sections. The first is the description of the item. The second is the creation and the story of the item. And finally, we're going to go through some suggested stats that you as a GM can amend or ignore if you would like. So, let's get straight into it. The item. The Gauntlet of the White Artificer. These gauntlets are fur-lined metal gloves, fastened with ornate buckles, scribed with arcane runes, primarily from the Abjuration school of magic. These gauntlets, when attuned to, will modify their size to the humanoid that is attuning to them. The story. The Gauntlets of the White Artificer was created when Wendigo, a white-furred bugbear, sadly died. Throughout history, there are some stories that stick in your mind, while others seem to dissipate, even though the person has done so much work. This is the tale of Wendigo, the white-furred bugbear artificer that always protected those in need. Wendigo was not a knight or a paladin, but he fought for the underdog and those in need. He would charge into danger to help others, even if it meant endangering himself. This is the story that even though Wendigo died, he's still able to protect those in need. Wendigo ventured out with a group of explorers and here created the Ashen Cloaks. One day, whilst out adventuring, they stumbled upon a fight between 4 factions. When the numbers were dwindling, portals opened up and emerged otherworldly, disfigured creatures. Wendigo and his group charged in to defeat these monsters and remove them from the plane of existence. Unfortunately, the portals remained open. When the fighting was over, one of Wendigo's colleagues approached one of the portals. They wanted it closed, and it did. It wasn't mentioned to the Ashen Cloaks or Wendigo that there was a voice that merely wanted them to carry a mark for it to help close the portal. Wendigo went up to another portal and looked inside. A voice spoke to Wendigo and provided the same offer. The portal would close if he only wore the mark. Wendigo refused to give in to this bully or dark, powerful entity, and instead entered a battle of wills. As the Ashen Cloaks looked on, Wendigo stood there, still as a statue, eyes glazed over. Time passed, and his body started to disintegrate. Whilst only moments in the real world, centuries had passed in his mind. Wendigo persevered until there was no more. On taking his final breath, a cleric, one of the Ashen Cloaks, reached out to him to see if he wanted to return to the land of the living. Wendigo was physically and mentally exhausted. He chose not to come back, but instead that there was others out there willing to fight for those in need. He was content at last to rest, knowing that he held that entity at bay. At his funeral, the cleric performed the rite of inheritance. This was a ceremony that turned Wendigo's body into an item that could be inherited. The ceremony and the outcome has been written in many storybooks and scrolls over the years. Even magical scholars still discuss this to the day. You see, there are different opinions on what created this magic item. Some say that due to friends and family speaking great words of love and affection helped infuse power into the spell. The churches say that the cleric must have been more powerful than they had even known themselves, that even a god had blessed them on that day, making their power even greater. Magic users often say that Wendigo, who was magical in nature, aided in the spell due to still having magic in his body. Whichever route you believe in, there is one thing that everyone agrees. As the cleric said the final words of the rite, the sun hit Wendigo's headstone. A blinding light shot out, causing all who were close by to look away momentarily. As the light faded, a pair of gauntlets lay resting on the headstone. It said that these gauntlets were Wendigo's last sacrifice, an item left behind so that even though Wendigo wasn't there in person, he was still able to protect those in need. There are many paintings and portraits that have been commissioned over the years to show the items being used. Some even commission their own face into these paintings so they can say they have used it. However, in each painting, the wearer holds their hands up. In front of them, the image of a white furred bugbear, shield raised up, taking the blow of the impact, protecting the wearer. There are myths and rumours that those who knew Wendigo and used the items got another special boon if they attuned to it. However, sadly, this was never confirmed, and we can't find anyone who knows him. The stats. A wondrous item, rare, requires attunement, major tier. The first time you are struck while wearing these gauntlets, you receive 2d10 plus 10 temporary hit points. However, as a GM, you can always change this to suit your campaign level. Each blow that is absorbed by the effect shows a flicker of a large bugbear protecting the wearer with his shield. Each long rest, the gauntlets recharge. What do you think of our magic item and its backstory? Let me know in the comments below, and also let me know if there are other magic items you would like us to create. If you've enjoyed the video, please do hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed so you know when our next video goes live. If you're feeling fruity and want to support us in other ways, we also have a Patreon where you can get photos of Loot Our Labrador and also get to know us behind the green screen. We really appreciate all of your support. So until next time, may your dice be ever in your favour.